In this video, I sit down with the hobbyist miner to discuss the one most important decision you have to make when buying a GPU for mining, so stick around. Warning, there are people pretending to be me in the comments and on social platforms. I'll never ask you to add me on WhatsApp or Telegram, and I'll never ask you to send me money, crypto, or your personal information. Alright, so please be careful, use your common sense, and don't let any of these imposters fool you. Alright, now back to the video. All right, I'm here with my good friend, the hobbyist miner, once again. Slowly but surely, he's taking over my channel. Thank you so much for being on here and talking with me again. And today, we are going to be talking about what is the most important thing to consider when buying a GPU for mining. Should you go for a GPU that gets high hash rate for the dollar amount you're spending on it? So lots of hash rate per price, basically. Or should you rather go for a GPU that gets a lot of hash rate per watt? So I reckon maybe like last time, I'll start us off in kind of just explaining the concept here, what's going on behind it. And we discussed a little bit beforehand here, and we're going to be using two different examples for this sort of discussion. The first one being a 1660 Super, and that gets around 30 mega hash. And our second example is a RX 580, which also gets around 30 mega hash. Now, the difference between them is the 1660 Super gets the 30 mega hash at around 60 watts, and the 580 gets it at around 120 watts. So with the 1660 Super, you get a lot more hash rate per watt, right? But
correct,
1660 Super currently go for around $250 or so on eBay, while the 580 goes for around $175 on eBay. So again, the difference there, you're getting a lot more hash rate per dollar spent on the 580 versus on the 1660 Super. So that is kind of the discussion we're gonna have today. Should you rather go for, hash rate per dollar, as in the 580, or hash rate per watt, as in the 1660 Super? And I think just at first glance, what the big sort of difference is there is obviously the 580, if we stay at sort of current mining profitability levels, the 580 will sort of ROI quicker. You'll make the return on investment quicker because obviously it costs less money, and basically it makes the same amount of money as the 1660 Super currently. There will be a slight difference in how much you're making per day, because obviously the 580 holds a bit more power, which then costs a little bit of more money. But since profitability still is quite high, I know some of you think profitability is low, but historically, no, this is pretty high profitability for mining still. It will obviously pay for itself a lot quicker than the 1660 Super. However, with the 1660 Super pulling a lot less electricity, once if we finally hit a period in mining where profitability is a lot lower than this, then basically having a card that uses a lot less electricity means you will stay profitable for a lot longer. Because if you're paying half the amount in terms of power cost for running the GPU, that means you can have a profitability that is way lower, but you will stay profitable on the 1660 Super because you're paying so much less for the power. But with the 580, when you're paying twice the amount of for your power, it will become unprofitable mining on the 580 a lot sooner.
Right.
And so that is sort of the dilemma, I guess, for me personally, and for you as well now, hobbyist miner, is kind of something we're considering when buying GPUs. Do we go for GPUs where you can mine on them for longer and stay profitable, even if profitability tanks down really low? Or do you go for the GPU that doesn't have the best, mining efficiency in terms of hash rate per watt, but then you will have it pay itself back a lot sooner? So I'm gonna pass it on to you because I felt like I had one long sentence there.
No, you're absolutely good. That's why like Seb comes in with the big brain talk here. Okay, like that's why we got Seb here, and then there's this guy. So yeah, Seb's absolutely right. I mean, as we start to get into this dip, I've talked with a few people who are even saying like we're not in a bear market, like we're not in a true bear market where profitability is almost to zero. We're not quite there yet. We're still, as Seb had said, in that profitable area. So that being said, looking at some cards as to what your purchases are, like the 580s, man, I've had them highlighted on my channel many times. And those cards I've seen in the past year go from $500 down to $300. And now we're significantly sub $200. And same thing with the 1660s. And so it really comes down to as your cost goes up, because electrical cost has been going up recently. And then so our operating cost is going up to operate, at least in the US, I assume worldwide. And then on top of that, our profitability with the crypto market is coming down. They're meeting each other is what is occurring. They're getting closer and closer together. So our profit margins are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So just as Seb had talked about there, when you're shopping for graphics cards, those are things to keep in mind. If you put one up against each other, those are the big decisions to make. You could ROI faster, just as Seb had said, with the 580 because it has a little bit more hash rate there. But when you actually crunch the numbers and look at your electrical cost, that's not always the best thing. I mean, I'll say personally, if you were to give me a 580 or a 1660, I'd go with the 1660, whether it's a Super or a TI, because of the sheer fact of efficiency. Right now is a key time to be efficient when you're looking at hash rate versus watts, and same thing with hash rate versus dollar. You need to be smarter with your spend, smarter with your dollars. So that's kind of where I'm at right now when it comes down to those purchases. You could even throw up there in the ring like something like a lot of people have gravitated towards like the 6600 because of efficiency, and their price is coming down. I mean, I bought a brand new 6600 for $299. So thinking about that, when you're talking about efficiency, you're talking about the hash rate, it's in that same ballpark, a little bit less on your hash rate, but the efficiency is phenomenal on those, and it's a brand new generation card. So a lot to be said in that regard there as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it might come down to whatever your personal situation is, right? So for example, if you somehow manage to have free electricity, then absolutely go for the better hash rate per dollar value cards. But for, I'm guessing most of our audiences, they pay for electricity like normal people do.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And I think it comes down to like looking into your own sort of perception of what the market will be. So for example, will a 580 pay for itself? Now I used using the 580 as an example. You can sub that out for any GPU you're looking into buying, right? Will it pay for itself before the Ethereum switch to proof of stake? Because that is something that is going to in one way or another really affect mining profitability, right? So can it pay for itself before then, or at least somewhat pay for itself before then? And how much of a difference will that be? And then the other side of that coin is like a 1660 Super, for example, or as you brought up, a 6600, which is even better efficiency for roughly the same amount of hash rate as our two other examples. It's like will obviously stay a lot more competitive in mining after the merge, because what people are assuming will happen is all the Ethereum hash rate will spread onto all the other mineable coins, driving down profitability on like for mining all of those other coins, right? So what you want is a card that can get as high a hash rate as possible when while pulling the least amount of electricity possible, to sort of try to stay in the zone of still being profitable, where you're mining coins that are currently worth more than what you're paying each day for the electricity. But I think Yeah, sorry, if you have something, then go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's definitely a big one to consider when you're looking right now is a really hard spot to be in when you're purchasing GPUs because of the fact of like proof of stake seems to constantly be around the corner. So
Yeah.
when you're looking at purchases to make, exactly as Seba talked about, circling back to our topic at hand, which is more the hash rate versus the watts and hash rate versus dollar value, you're making that assumption today. You know, we're in May right now. You're making that assumption on the fact of, you know, this is where it's at now on Ethereum. Well, jump ahead 4 or 5 months from now, whenever this does get pulled the trigger with proof of stake, those same things you need to consider when you're looking to purchase cards. You know, does the market dip hard in August when the supposed Ethereum proof of stake happens, and then GPU prices are even lower? Then you really need to be looking at that. Our profitability that profitability margin I spoke about before may shrink even more if the crypto market really takes a toll, or we may see it blossom, and then it's like awesome. So all of this significantly changes. Especially based on what algorithm you go on. You know, you jump from Ethereum to Flux, for example, you know, you're going to most likely use more watts. Well, that's taking away from that value, that equation. You know, the GPU market may dip or it may go through the roof. And now we're talking, just like Seba talked about, hash rate versus dollar value. It's going to cost you more to get, you know, that hash rate. So you really need to be thinking about these things as we get closer to proof of stake.
Yeah. And I don't know how much more I have to add. I think we've given a good sort of overview of what the sort of conundrum is, right? What I think we could add is our own personal sort of opinions on what we are doing right now. And I'm ready to start. So basically what I'm doing right now is I'm just doing a lot of research into efficiency on like all the different graphics cards and specifically for all of the other coins. So not Ethereum, but how efficient are cards on Flux, Ravencoin, Ergo, Conflux, Aeon, you know, and I'm currently working on actually a little spoiler or a little hint for people to get excited, but I do have a massive spreadsheet coming up where I'm just trying to compare.
Of course you do.
Yeah,
of course you do.
Yeah, so massive spreadsheet video coming out, basically being like, what card will be the most efficient for after ETH 2.0? And that is sort of taking the cards and scoring them like on as many coin algorithms as I can to then find out like which card will do best no matter what algorithm you put it on, basically.
Yeah.
And so that is where my head is at with it right now. I want to try to get because I'm still looking into growing my farm because I have strong beliefs in crypto long term and mining long term. And mining kind of seems to be this auto-regulating system anyway, because as someone commented on one of my videos once, and I thought it was really profound, is like, you know, as mining profitability goes down, people will stop mining. And when people stop mining, mining profitability goes up. It's kind of this auto like regulating system. So for me, I'm just looking into getting GPUs that I think will stay, you know, competitive because they are efficient in mining across the board, basically. So no matter kind of what coins pop up high on what to mine, I know that I can be efficient with my GPUs on that. So that is my current sort of like strategy for buying GPUs. What about you, hobbyist?
Well, it's so funny because like we go back like a year or more ago, and like our mindset then and strategy then of buying GPUs was more like, oh, I can get my hands on it, I'm going to nab it. Yeah, and you'll pay a little bit extra. Versus now, in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I've bought in 5 cards total. Seb made me buy a 3070. He forced my hand. But like a card like a 3070, and then on top of that, I bought several of the 6600s because I'm looking at efficiency. You know, 3070 was definitely for the efficiency and the horsepower, and the 6600s that I purchased are all because of efficiency. So I'm trying to be smarter about my dollar spend and looking a little bit closer at hash rate versus watts. Now, I know it's the Wild West. We really don't know what the scene is going to look like come post proof of stake. But the nice thing is the fact of, okay, if it's a solid GPU pretty much across the board, like a 6600, like a 3070, that puts me in a better place. So I'm not seeking out, you know, where I was a year ago, 6600s or 580s, I have several of them already. I'm currently mining with them, and I'll continue to mine with them, even after maybe the profitability is sub-zero, just because, that's just who I am as a miner, which makes a lot of sense in that regard. But currently, that's kind of where my head is at when I'm looking at my purchases now. I'm continuing to purchase more GPUs. They're just being a little bit smarter. The other one that I've looked at, the third GPU that I've been trying to get my hands on, a little bit harder of a marker on, is the 3060s. 3060s have really done well with the LHR unlock and been very promising. Their 3060s are very promising on most algorithms out there. They kind of put you, there's kind of like that staple GPU that we found is that 3060. So I have been looking for pre-owned 3060s, not necessarily new. I think the new price is still a little too high, but 3060s on secondhand sites like Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that, and really undercutting. Almost got a guy down to $300 for 3060. So I'm like, awesome. Wow. Let's keep that going. So that's kind of where I stand right now on my GPU purchases as we're kind of May, early June.
Yeah, those are all solid choices. And I think what I'm going to leave people off with here is sort of use some actionable steps, which is like, if you're going to go for getting the highest hash rate per dollar value, then sit down and do a bit of math. So do like, okay, how much will this mine in terms of dollar profit until the expected merge into proof of stake, which is, I think August is what they're saying now. That's the latest I've heard anyway. So give it, until August. How much will it make until then? How far from ROI are you then? So have you made, for a $200 GPU, have you made $100, right? And by then, do you think you would be able to sell that GPU at that point if it's no longer profitable for $100 or more? Because then that is also a part of the equation, right? How much you've mined up until then, and the actual, dollar value of the GPU that you own, because the GPU is an asset as well that you could sell. And so that is how I would look at purchasing a GPU like that. If you would rather go for the efficiency, look into efficiency on other coins. So your Flux, your Ravencoin, your Ergo, all of those other coins, and then base your GPU buying decision on that. I think that is basically all that I've got. Do you have anything else you want to add to the discussion, or are you good?
No, that's everything for today. I just advise people that, everyone's situation is different. So as Seb had said, do your math, look at your electric rate, and then a lot of it is going to be speculation. A lot of it is going to be speculating on the flip side of where you see the market going. You can, just as Seb had said, you can sit here and build a massive spreadsheet, but that's off of today. That's off of numbers today. We don't know what that's going to look like after proof of stake. So it's a lot of gambling. It's a lot of speculation. So everyone's situation is different. So what one person says works for them may be different than someone else. But at the end of the day, we're all miners and we all have a great passion and addiction for this hobby. So definitely have fun with it.
Yeah. And I just want to add the speculation part, when you're making a spreadsheet, that comes into when you're talking about profitability. Efficiency is not speculation.
Yeah, correct.
Those are true numbers that we can know and trust. All right. But yes. Honestly, thank you so much, Hobbyist Miner, for coming on. Everyone,
absolutely,
please go subscribe to Hobbyist Miner. I'm sure you're aware of him. So if you're not subscribed, why not do it right now?
Oh, right. Thanks.
Yeah, catch you later. Now, if you found this video helpful, then please give it one of these. And if you really liked it, you can now join the channel to help support what I do here. It really does make a big difference and it means a lot to me. So thank you. But what you got to do now is you got to click on one of those videos on the screen, because this video is over. You can also click the picture on my face to subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate that. But yeah, go click on that next video and I'll see you there. Goodbye. Goodbye, bye bye.